All right, welcome into the Wheelhouse here at Elevation 5280 Sports and Lifestyle. Kind of a almost impromptu show going on as we had to rearrange and cancel this morning show. We have Greg Jansen filling in for Matt this morning. Matt apparently had a tree blow down during the windstorm and knocked out his power, and he had to move all of his meat from his outside freezer to somewhere else because his freezer didn't turn on. So he's dealing with it this morning. But Greg, how are you?
I'm doing well, Mike. It's been a while. It's good to rejoin you. A lot of sports going on all at once right now, which is always fun. It's a fun time of the year.
Yeah, as we have a lot to get into, almost kind of leading you up to the women's championship game that'll go on at 3:00 Eastern, 1:00 here Mountain. So a lot of different storylines to get into Iowa and South Carolina. Also, it is the NBA stretch run. We'll get into the men's tournament as well, as that championship is set for tomorrow evening, and we will get into that as well. And of course, it has been baseball opening week / opening weekend. How much baseball did you actually consume with everything else going on? So I want to get your Well, let me start off with this. We did a elevation. I don't know if you joined, Greg, but we did an elevation bracket thing. So just want to give a quick update on the.
I never got the invite, man.
Oh, I posted it on Facebook.
That's probably why. It's probably
So
good thing I didn't join.
Okay, we have David, number one. I am in sixth place, Greg, but I did pick Arizona in this particular bracket, so they will obviously not make it. So I'm basically stuck where I'm at right now. So David has Purdue, Alex has UConn, Andre has UConn, so those three are vying for the winner. Again, the winner gets a copy of the new MLB 24, the show, and or a I'm sure they're going to pick the show because we also have a Christian Brown jersey to give away. And I'm not sure where those people are fans of. So they might be getting a copy of the new MLB 24, the show. So stay tuned for the winner on that. And so there was a lot of controversy, Greg, in the women's Final Four, that last illegal screenplay that happened. And unfortunate for Edwards of UConn, basically her last play of her collegiate career. And a lot of people commenting on it, Greg. Gabby Marshall, the one who drew the foul, she had to delete her social media. She's getting death threats, which is really stupid. People are absolutely insane. It's really not her fault. She even said so as much in a press conference. She said, "I don't know why I'm getting messages. I didn't make the call." So your overall thoughts on not only the call, Greg, but the game against UConn in the women's Final Four?
Yeah. First and foremost, great game. And it's too bad that call is overshadowing such an amazing matchup and game between two great programs, great teams with star players on each side. So you feel bad in that sense, but when it comes to the call. Was it the right call by the book? Yes. It was an illegal screen. You could tell, she extended her arm out. But the only thing I would say is throughout the entire game, a lot of those types of calls weren't being called. So if you're going to be a ref to call that, make sure you call that consistently in the entire game. Do I think that was a foul? I do. But the way the game was called, I don't know if you should call that. Given the game was called in a way where there was a lot of physical play allowed. So, it can go either way. At the end of the day, we don't even know what would have happened anyway. Like, who knows? If you watch the full play, the help side from Iowa was actually there right on time. It's not like Paige would have been wide open for a shot anyway. But she would have had a better matchup going against the forward, I think it was, for Iowa. but there was only like 3 seconds left, so it would have been almost a catch and shoot scenario anyway. And with the amount of time, with the amount of space that she didn't really have that a whole lot, I don't know if she would have gotten a clean look off anyway. So, but it's too bad as fans we didn't get a chance to at least see an attempted shot.
Yeah, and it was there's a lot of people going back and forth on it, like you can't make a call like that with 4 seconds left, and I'm trying to see the other side of it, Greg, and like why all of a sudden can a ref make a call with 4 seconds left? Like that is their job. I know you don't want to call to define a game, which unfortunately it has been. A lot of people have moved on, but obviously, even pro athletes and stuff like that have been chiming in on the call. You can't make that call. Well, you can, because that's the ref job to make that call. Is it their job to make it under 4 seconds? I don't think there should be a time limit on. It's a double-edged sword either way, Greg, because that is the ref job to make the call, but at the same time, you don't want a call to define a game.
No, you don't. But at the same time, let's say it was just in the middle of the game, and there was a foul call. Do you let that foul go? Like, it's one of those things. But I go back to, how has the game been called the entire game? You want, as refs, and you should be consistent. As players and coaches, you want refs to be consistent. But I will add this: throughout the course of the game, players and coaches, and I tell my players that I coach this all the time, players and coaches make far more mistakes than officials do throughout a game. So refs typically don't dictate the outcome of the game. There might be a call that everyone remembers, but what people don't look is like, oh, look at all the mistakes that we made as players and coaches throughout the game that we could have helped ourselves, when instead we put ourselves in a hole, and it happens every game.
Exactly. Like you said, it shouldn't matter at what point of the game. And then there's the adage of let players play. What if Gabby Marshall didn't fight around the screen and she just flopped? What do you do then?
Yep.
Like, do you call a flopping call, or should it have been a no call? Maybe it should have just been a no call. So there's been a lot of back and forth on that, Greg. So I just wanted to get your overall opinion on that call. But the game, like you mentioned, was absolutely outstanding. I think the peak on ESPN reached 17 million viewers. Yeah. And we know what happened in the Elite Eight game with Iowa and LSU. Had 13 point whatever million viewers, which was more than any other basketball game, women's basketball game ever. It was more than the Nuggets NBA Finals last season. It was more than the World Series last season. And it was more than, I think, 6 pro NFL football games last season. So, it's just been outstanding tournament. And, of course, everyone's going to compare it. And as you can see, Greg, I got my CC jersey on. So this might be the most – I caught on a little bit last year, Greg, but this might be the most college basketball I think I've ever watched. And it's more on the women's side. I'm not going to lie, Greg. So that's just where I'm at right now. So a lot of people are going to compare men's and women's. I was watching the Purdue and NC State game yesterday, Greg, and to be honest with you, it was just, I found myself being bored. Like, yeah. I don't know what it is. Is it just me?
No, I think it also has to do with the matchups. Like, NC State, let's be real, they've had some luck go their way, and that matchup was just not a good matchup. And UConn is so well coached, well-oiled machine, super high IQ, that they're not the most talented team, especially a team that could go back-to-back, the first team since the Florida Gators in 2009. But there's just not that many teams out there that are that well coached, and it's all about matchups, really, like I said. And if Purdue were to face, let's say, instead of NC State, let's say a team like, I think even Colorado, who was in that bracket, would have matched up better against Purdue, to be quite honest with you. But I will say this: the national championship for the men's is going to be one heck of a game. I think both those teams are are well coached. Both of them have a lot of mismatch problems. They have players who can beat you. So I think it's going to be one of the better finals that we've seen, or finals championships that we've seen. I also think the women's side is going to be really good too. South Carolina's been a powerhouse for the last couple of years. I do think, obviously, Caitlin Clark's the best player on the court, but do they have enough around her to beat a team like South Carolina that can almost beat you in every position?
Yeah, and I honestly didn't think Iowa, going back to the women's side, I didn't think Iowa was going to get past LSU, honestly, because LSU is so much, they're taller, they're lengthier, and all you really have in size if you are Iowa is Hannah Stolke, and which Hannah Stolke is going to show up. She goes out and drops 23 points against UConn, but she was in foul trouble. I think she had only single-digit points against LSU, and she was the only real matchup for like an Angel Reese down low. And you got to hope that you got Camila Cardoso coming in, Greg, who is 6'7", and she swallows up every single rebound. So you don't, even with Hannah Stolke down low, you don't have a great matchup against South Carolina. They're just taller, they're bigger, they can shoot over you. So that was my fear against LSU for Iowa. Now UConn, they matched up a heck of a lot better with UConn. Obviously, you have two great players like Paige Buckets and Caitlin Clark. And like you said, who's going to show up around Caitlin Clark? Against LSU, they had 4 players in double figures.
Yeah,
and that's what they're going to need against South Carolina, who you mentioned has been just outstanding these last couple of years. So, yeah, I mean, if Caitlin has 12 assists, 12 plus assists, something's going right because her teammates are scoring.
Yeah, she's going to need a stat line like she did against LSU. The one difference between South Carolina and LSU, I think LSU had a lot of just some up and down moments off the court, and I think that caught up to them. A lot of drama.
And they also got in foul trouble also.
True. But South Carolina seems to keep things in-house when it comes to their team, which you don't let it affect their play as often. Like LSU had those moments where they lost to like Colorado. They lost some head scratchers that they shouldn't have lost to, and that had a lot to do with kind of like they're definitely a team that likes to show themselves off the court, whether it's influence in social media, all this. And I get that, you want your image and likeness, but to what degree does it help you? And to what degree is it hurting your team? You look at UConn men's, you don't hear anything really outside of like what they do on the court. And this is why they could very well be a back-to-back title team. Now, Purdue, I call this from the at the beginning of the season, I called a Virginia 2.0. When Virginia lost to the 16 seed the very next year, they ended up winning it all. And Purdue reminds me of that team. The way they're playing, they play with a chip on the shoulder the entire year, like it's them against the world. So I think it's gonna be a good matchup on the men's side.
Yeah, and a lot of people are still kind of like, men's bracket all the way, men's tourney all the way. Maybe besides, and I know you know more players than the average probably college basketball fan, but maybe besides Zach Edey, can you name another, another player in the men's tournament, especially when it comes down to
Cam Spencer, baby. Cam Spencer is a baller.
I'm saying you know more than the average basketball watcher.
Hey, DJ Burns became a household name.
He did, and a lot of that had to do with Nikola Jokic giving him a shout out too in a press conference. But he was not very. He was in foul trouble yesterday, so he and I heard the announcer saying a fatigue caught up to him as well. He is a big dude, so.
Sure, but here's the thing about the men's side of things on college basketball, and those who actually like know the game really well.
Well, let me ask you this before you say that.
Yeah.
Do the women's side? Does the women's side do better job of, I guess, marketing the stars in their game? Is 100%. That what it is? Because like you said, it's all matchups. You had obviously the rematch between LSU and Iowa. You have Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese. They're going to make headlines. And then against UConn, you have Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers. You know, the story that Paige Beckers had was incredible. And now you have South Carolina, who's been dominant. They're undefeated. They won 2 years ago. You know, you have Don Staley, a very well-known coach. You have Cardoso, who is a dominant force inside. So you have names. Is it just marketing that side of the tournament better? Why don't the men's do that?
It's 100% marketing. And hats off to the NCAA women's. But they do that because they have to. Let's be real. Whereas the men's, you know, could they do that? Yes. But what makes the college men's game so great, and those who really enjoy the game of basketball and understand it, as a basketball fan, I don't even care what the names of the players are. I enjoy good quality basketball, and it's physical. It's team oriented. That's something that I really enjoy about the college game, and I focus more on the name on the front of the jersey when I'm watching like the men's college game as I do like on the back of the jersey. And I enjoy the team part of it. And the college game has always kind of been like that. Sure, there's definitely names that pop up in the tournament that make it fun and memorable. You know, you have the Steph Currys, the JJ Redicks, and you can go back to Christian Leitners.
Adam
You know,
Morrison.
yeah, Adam Morrison, exactly. So you get, but I think the men's know that that will happen here and there. But it's more the like when you watch a college game. Especially in the tournament, I just enjoy the game of basketball, the way they play, how physical it is. And of course, there's going to be some years and some rounds that aren't going to be better than others, like this Final Four. It's the first time ever, Mike, that there was two double-digit favorite or two double-digit underdogs in the Final Four ever, which is actually kind of wild to think about. So the matchups just weren't there, but it easily could have been different if like one game went differently throughout the tournament, and that's the great part about March Madness is it's not a 7-game series. If I guarantee you, if a team like Kentucky, I forget who they lost to, they got talent, but if they had a 7-game series against the team they had lost to, I forget they lost to at the top of my head now. Was it?
It was Oakland. Remember?
Oakland, yeah. Very underrated team, by the way. A team that actually that was the team that actually should have beaten NC State.
And not even the right Oakland. It's like Oakland, Michigan.
Yeah, but imagine if it was a 7-game series, Kentucky would win that in 5.
Oh,
but that's the great. That's the great thing about March Madness. That's what makes it fun. So,
and that's sorry to cut you off. And that's one of the greater sides of the men's tournament is you have those upsets. A lot of people are complaining, well, the number 1 seeds always make it in women's. I'm like, well, aren't they supposed to? Like they're the number 1 seed for a reason. And obviously now we have 4 number 1 seeds in the national championship for both men's and women's. So, I mean, aren't you supposed to have the number 1 seeds make it all the way? Sure, the upsets are fine, but that's why they are number 1 seeds, right?
Oh, for sure. And there's always going to be parity in college basketball, but with the new NIL deals we have right now, I think you're going to see a lot of transfers from small colleges to bigger power conferences. And like, how many times have you heard, oh, this player transferred from Wofford, this player transferred from St. Peter's, and now they're playing for Purdue, they're playing for Illinois, and you're going to see a lot more of that. So sadly, I think you're going to see less of the Cinderellas go further in the tournament as years progress, but that's not necessarily a bad thing for college basketball.
Yeah, got a message here from Greeley Dan, and I just figured out. I wonder if it's a play on word of Steely Dan. I'm just wondering. I just figured that out. So he writes, he said, in response to Greg saying the women's side have to market their stars, that's not necessarily true because on the women's side, they stay in college for longer than the men's. They stay for all 4 years. So a girl like Caitlin Clark is able to break every single record in Division I basketball. And that's true too.
Yeah.
You don't have the one and dones like you do, obviously. And on the women's side, you're probably going to make more money staying in college for 4 years than you are going to the WNBA. And I know, Caitlin Clark's going to go to the WNBA. She's number one on the NIL deals on the women's side, and I mean, her game kind of speaks for itself. So I don't necessarily think that she really needed the marketing. But again, when you play all 4 years and you're not doing one and dones, Greg, you're going to get notoriety because you have 4 years to break those records. Maybe if a guy stayed at college for all 4 years, you would hear about someone getting close to breaking the NCAA men's side records. But maybe those records are untouchable because of the one and dones. And obviously you're going to make more money going to the NBA than unfortunately women's are going to the WNBA.
No, absolutely. And the reason I said that is just because, typically you have more viewers on the men's side anyway. So it's not like they have to, but it definitely helps the women's game when you really highlight the stars. But you're right. The stars become stars because they are in it long term. The last guy I can remember on the men's side who really did that was probably a Doug McDermott. If you remember him,
Hasn't Zach Edey played all 4 years?
maybe he has. I don't know. I think it's been but he's been around for a while.
Yeah.
But I remember Doug McDermott. I think he's the all-time leading scorer when it comes to on college basketball. I gotta look that up, but I thought he stayed long enough to break that record. He stayed 4 years, which you're not going to see that hardly at all. But they are changing that rule where they're not forcing student or athletes in high school to go to college necessarily, but you may see more people do like overseas or different leagues instead of college first to make some money. Who knows?
So Zach Edey has played all 4 years at Purdue.
No, okay. Well, it makes sense why he's the biggest name in the tournament right now.
Well, yeah, and he's
also the biggest guy.
Feet tall.
Yeah. Too big.
And his freshman year, Greg, he only averaged just under 9 points per game, and it progressively went up, obviously. And then he went to 14.5, 22.5, and this season he averaged just under 25 points per game. So he, steadily got better and better as time went on, and obviously that's going to happen because.
And sadly, though, I don't think his game's going to develop that much in the NBA.
And I was just going to bring that up. I think, a lot of the experts are saying, he may only be someone's going to take a chance on him just because of his height. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are knocking him because all he can do is just around the rim. He doesn't have a shot from outside. His free throw percentage has been pretty steady throughout this tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, you just translate your free throw shooting into a mid-range game, and you could have a decent career in the NBA for a decent amount of years. But yeah, a lot of people are saying, maybe undrafted even.
Yeah, the game of basketball has really changed for sure. If you look at the percentage of shots nowadays, it's 90% of it's either layups or really like close-in shots, high percentage, or threes. Hardly do you ever see like a mid-range jump shot, especially contested. So you see a lot more threes and layups. That's 90% of the shots now.
Yeah, it has definitely have changed to the 3-point game, especially in the NBA. I'm trying to obviously Pete Maravich holds the men's records because Caitlin Clark was approaching that, but he averaged 44 points a game.
Oh, he was ridiculous.
Yeah, so I don't know if anyone's going to ever touch 44 points a game. And again, that goes to longevity. Obviously, back in the 60s and 70s, you weren't having these one and dones either. Guys were playing all 4 years out of college, so it is just crazy to think that 3,600.
Did you hear about Caitlin Clark's offer to play in the Big Three?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think she'd rather play for Team USA in the Olympics than the Big Three. But
sure,
it would be interesting to see her go up against the retired fat dudes from the NBA.
Fat dudes. Hey, Tony Allen can still defend, man.
Yeah. I mean, you don't lose the skill. You just might slow down a little bit.
But with 3-on-3, there's definitely more space. Like that's a great way to really develop your game. Honestly, playing three on
Hey,
three.
if you want a quick 15 mil, why not?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like Caitlin,
She's gonna. I think is gonna quadruple what she's gonna make in the WNBA just
yeah,
playing in the Big Three.
yeah. I mean, I'd watch it.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Oh, I'm gonna be watching and I think it was Diana Taurasi and who does she have a show with? Sue Bird.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They have kind of like a Manning cast
Right.
on ESPN Plus. And Diana Taurasi said, these young girls coming into the WNBA is going to be, and I'm paraphrasing, they're going to, they're in a world of reckoning coming to the WNBA. And I'm just like, I don't know if that's completely true. If anything, they're going to bring a crap ton more viewers to the WNBA because you have Caitlin Clark, who's, projected to be the number one pick. You're going to have Cardoso. You're going to have Angel Reese. I forgot the other girl's name who's projected in the top 5, but you are going there. Those 3 players alone, Greg, along with their storylines, along with what they did in college, is going to bring a lot more viewers to the WNBA.
Oh, for sure. Especially with young, like you said, young girls who are coming up and playing basketball. You're seeing a lot more viewership and excitement from girls, who are in elementary school, middle school, and high school. So I think it's going to help all the way around the board.
Yeah, so that's why I was hoping when they were picking a location for an expansion team in the WNBA, it was down to Denver and San Francisco, and obviously San Francisco got it. But I was so hoping for Denver to get a WNBA team, not only selfishly because it would have created a lot more media jobs, Greg,
Yep.
but also, and I don't know if this is true, but this is what I was reading. Expansion teams I think they get a top 5 pick, and obviously San Francisco, I don't think they're going to be a team until next season, so they're not going to be part of the draft this season. I don't think. This is what I was reading. Again, I don't know where even I was reading this, but it would have been so cool. Just imagine if Denver was picked, 2-3 years ago, and they had a number 1 pick this season, and somehow Denver drafted Caitlin Clark. I mean, I'd probably try to get season tickets, to be honest with you.
Hey,
not only would I have her
fans
Iowa,
of the Rockies, right?
not only would I have her Iowa jersey, but I would have her Denver whatever
Yeah,
jersey.
that's great. They would draw a lot more fans in the Rockies. That's for darn sure.
Oh yeah, yeah. Again, if you follow me on anything, Rockies are not getting a cent from me this season. And we were talking before the show. The only game that I might, and it's a very big might, Greg, is the Todd Helton Day on August 17th.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I was down in Phoenix for opening weekend for the Diamondbacks against the Rockies. I didn't go to opening night where Arizona scored 13 runs in 1 inning, but it didn't work out well the next night, the game I was at either, because they lost 9-2 or whatever it was. So, yeah, it is just bad. And then you saw videos of the owner, Montfort, greeting people as they were entering the stadium, handing out whatever he was handing out. And so many people are ripping him, Greg, saying that's the job he's qualified for, is handing out programs rather than running a team.
Yeah, and he may be the nicest guy in the world, right? But I mean, the dude cannot manage a professional franchise. At some point, you got to set some loyalty aside, and you got to understand the game. Like learn from your mistakes. It's like he makes the same mistakes over and over when it comes to either signing players, letting players go, and drafting, developing players. The amount of players that we draft are like, oh, this guy's a really top prospect. Then he ends up being nothing. I don't know. It's just it's decision after decision. There's only been maybe in my lifetime 2 decisions that I can remember that were like, oh, that was actually a good trade, like the cargo trade. I think that was actually one of the better trades that we made. The Tula trade you can debate. He was kind of out of his prime, but probably could have got more. But signing Larry Walker was a big one. But that I don't think Montfort was your owners at that time.
I don't know if they were included in that.
But it's just, yeah, it's sad. And I feel bad for all of us Rocky fans because we are loyal to our team and we deserve a winning franchise.
And they've had their they've had their moments. A few years ago they made it as a wild card. Obviously,
They never won their
2000.
division since
Yeah,
1993.
yeah. That's
That's
what's jarring.
crazy.
I mean, and when you're in a division with the Dodgers, who have unlimited amount of money, and they just don't care about salary caps and luxury taxes. When you have that kind of money, Greg, in a big market like LA, obviously you're going to have the best players. Obviously
Yeah.
the Yankees are the same side in the American League on the East Coast. So I don't want to say it's just not fair, but you obviously are a smaller market team going up against a smaller market in terms of being a baseball team going up against even the Giants and Padres. They've spent a lot of money. So, and
True.
you would think they would model themselves after the Diamondbacks. They bring a couple veterans that help them
Mhm.
reach the World Series. Otherwise, Greg, I think they're in the top 5 for youngest teams heading into
Yeah.
last season. So, if anything, they should be modeling themselves after a Tampa Bay, after an Arizona.
Yep. No, 100%. And but Monfort, he's probably sitting there. Hey, the fans are coming to our games, whether they're Rocky fans or not, or baseball fans or not. They want to enjoy a good, summer night in Colorado. Like, why wouldn't you? And that's all they care about. They're selling seats. I feel like year in and year out, they're top 10 in um in attendance, and it seems like that's all he cares about.
So Monforts have been in controlling stake of the Rockies before they were even playing, Greg.
Okay.
So they were introduced. At least Charlie Monfort is a club founder and has been one of the Rockies' managing general partner since '92. So they were in the mix before they even stepped foot on the field. So I don't know how much Dick Monfort. It was more Charlie Monfort back in the day. I think Dick has a lot more to do. I think Charlie kind of stays out of the limelight. Obviously, you don't really hear much or see much from him. It's more Dick nowadays, and his name matches his personality, it seems. But that's what I'm reading here. So they've been mixed in with the Rockies before they even step foot on the field. So obviously they have been, making moves since they were a team.
Yeah. Yeah. And did you see the proposal, or not really proposal, but they put on like a projected divisions if the MLB were to expand with 2 more teams, and it would be an Eastern and Western Conference. And in our division, the projected teams would be Arizona, San Diego, and the Athletics, who will be Las Vegas. I mean, I was thinking to myself, hey, if that happens, we would have more. Or no, not San Diego, San Francisco, Arizona, and the Athletics. And I was thinking to myself, hey, if that happened, we'd have more of a chance to win our division.
Yeah, because the A's are just as bad.
Oh, the A's are worse than us, which is actually hard to do.
So they're gonna play. They're gonna play in Sacramento for like 2 seasons. So are they gonna be the Sacramento A's? Are they still gonna be Oakland, or are they just gonna be the California A's until they move to Vegas? I don't know, but it just gives you another reason to go to Vegas and see a baseball game. So that'll be as I continue my ballpark pool. I'm gonna try to go to a game in Sacramento. That would be a cool one to try to go to. And I hope the A's are playing in like a college stadium so they actually fill the seats.
Yeah. I don't know if that'd be on my bucket list, man.
That'd be a rare stadium to go to, though.
It would, but it wouldn't be as special. I'd rather take a trip to like San Francisco or.
Well, I'm going to San Diego in August. So
San Diego's nice. You'll like San Diego. Yeah. I've been to LA.
I went to the Dodgers a couple years ago. I've been to San Francisco.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I missed your wedding, Greg, because I was in San Francisco for a baseball game.
You bum. I'm just kidding. No.
Yeah.
I don't blame you, man.
But yeah, so like how much baseball have you consumed? I know you said you were downtown for opening day, didn't go to the game. I can be honest, I haven't watched 1 inning of baseball. And you can blame the Avalanche and Rockies here locally, Greg, because a few years ago the Avs played deep into the summer.
You mean Nuggets?
They went on there. No, I'm saying the Avs a couple years ago went deep
into
the summer.
Blame the Avs and Nuggets, though.
What did I say?
Avs and Rockies.
Well, yeah, you can blame the Rockies too if you want, but you could blame the Avs and Nuggets for making deep playoff runs the last couple of summers, and I just haven't had zero interest in watching baseball because I'm still in hockey mode. I'm still in basketball mode, whether it's pro or and now NCAA. So how much baseball did I mean? I'll watch some of the highlights. I watched McMahon's walk off,
Hmm.
and they're still going to lose over 100 games this season. So enjoy it while you can. But watching highlights, catching scores, that's all I'm really doing probably until June when hockey and basketball are officially over.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I haven't watched like a live inning. I was downtown for opening day, so I watched at the bar. But I'm not like, oh my goodness, like so glued to the TV and the game and attached to the game. And I won't be probably until the Avs and Nuggets seasons are done. But even then, with how bad the Rockies are going to be, am I going to be really that glued until maybe the postseason? And I don't know if you saw there's projected wins. The Nuggets, who are 82 games, are on pace
I did see
win,
the show.
to win 59 or no 58 games. It might be a little less now, but
Oh, yeah, 'cause
58 games.
I think they got 4 left.
Yeah. But anyhow, they're on pace to win in the high 50s, right? And the Rockies are on pace to win 59 games. So who's going to win more? And
Is
the
it
Rockies play
including? Is it including playoffs for the Nuggets? Because they'll definitely win a lot more.
No. It's just regular season.
Well, they
But
still might win more regular season games
I mean, it's just wild to think about. It's twice as many games, and you still might not win it.
because the Nuggets right now are 54-24, so
Yeah,
they still have a chance.
they still have a chance at 58. But even if they get to 56, 57, I still don't know if the Rockies can win that many.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy to think about. And obviously, last season was the first season in franchise history, remarkably, that they lost over 100 games. So they might hit that century mark again this season. And I was almost hesitant in playing a franchise on MLB The Show, Greg, with the Rockies. But I still did. And like we were talking before the show as well, I don't even really blame the players. Like, you can't really blame the players. They're just going out there. I mean, sure you need a timely hit, timely pitch and stuff like that. But I mean, the other side, the other team is professional too, Greg. So they're trying to hit home runs. They're trying to get strikeouts. So, and I like the group that they throw out there. I mean, they're young guys, obviously. Brenton Doyle won a Gold Glove last year. Tovar's on pace to have a pretty good season. So I don't really blame them. Blackman's a little past his prime, and he's still batting leadoff. So you really can't. And for Bud Black, I don't know if I have the same amount of feel sorry for. But again, everyone who's been a Rockies manager, Greg, has just been connected by strings, playing the puppet. And I don't know. Well, I mean, how do you feel about recent managers and Bud Black specifically? Because he's been a good manager wherever he's been.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Bud Black is not a bad manager. You can debate that he has led the Rockies to two of their best seasons, at least regular seasons of all time. 2018 could easily be the Rockies' best regular season that we've had. We had to play one extra game to determine the division. That's we never made it that far. And it just we were one win away of winning our division, and I think we won 91 games that year. Um, for what he's been given and handed and dealt with from our ownership, I think he's done a great job. You look at where he came from. He led the Padres to some great years. I know he managed some other teams. He's been around other franchises as well. I mean, look, a great example is Jim Leland. A World Series champion, with the Marlins as a manager. uh, managed the Pirates to some great teams in the early '90s with Barry Bonds when he first started. He came to Colorado and he
He
was
was a
chased out.
Skewers.
Oh, it was horrible. Like Don Baylor was a good manager, but that was early on where we had a pretty good lineup. But even then, we couldn't really get over the hump. Obviously Clint Hurdle, he had that one great '07 year, but he got chased out after. Whether that was justified or not, do I think so? No, I think you can't just let a guy go like that, especially with given that the expectations that you should have on the Rockies shouldn't be like shoot for the stars. And then Jim Tracy comes in, has that good '09 year, but then it fizzled out too. So I don't blame the managers at all, man. I think I think it goes higher up.
Yeah, and you mentioned Don Baylor. Buddy Bell was for a couple
Yeah.
seasons. Like you mentioned, Jim Tracy, Jim Leland. Clint Hurdle may be the most recognizable. And it's funny because Jim Tracy was the manager of the Padres where Mal Holliday either touched or did not touch the plate in that
No, Bud
163rd
Black
game.
was.
Or Bud Black, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What did I say? Jim Tracy?
Yeah.
Oh, Bud Black. Ironically, was the manager of the Padres when that happened. And he still to this day says he didn't touch. Which is funny because I think 100% of America said he did not touch.
Well, what's funny is well, at the end of the day, it's what the call was, but
yeah, and they didn't have review calls back then. You couldn't you couldn't throw the red challenge flag and review those plays.
But one manager that I felt the worst for is the manager we should never hired. He had only high school experience. The guy from our local roots. Yeah, Walt Weiss. It's like how do you hire a guy that has no MLB experience when it comes to even just assistant managing? You hire a high school manager. I get it. He played in the MLB and was a great player, but that was just a disaster from the start.
I honestly forgot about Walt Weiss.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Because we had some really good, talented teams under him. Our offense was really, really good then. But, I don't know what it was, man. We just...
Pitching, probably.
Yeah.
Pitching's always been the Achilles heel. But, hey, the rooftop is still alive and thriving. So that's all that matters. Bottom line. The bottom line, Greg. As NBA in the stretch run, obviously we just said, teams are at the 4 and 5 game left mark. So, over in the Eastern Conference, Greg, obviously Boston has just been running the table. They're first team to 60 wins. This is one of the first years that I remember, Greg, where 1 through basically 8. Remember back in the days of the Eastern Conference, only really like the top 4 teams had winning records.
Yeah.
Now you look down, pretty much 1 through 8 all have winning records from Boston to Philadelphia. They all have winning records. And then obviously you include the play-in tournament. So it's going to be right now Chicago and Atlanta. But both of those teams have losing records. Chicago in the number 9 seed right now, 37 and 40. Philadelphia in the 8 seed, 43 and 35. But yeah, back in the day, the Eastern Conference was, everyone kind of dogged the Eastern Conference because really only the top 4, sometimes 5 seeds only had winning records. You look at the Western Conference, Greg, and it is just loaded. Basically 1 through 10 all have winning records. And you have Houston, who was on a previous 11-game winning streak. They're 38 and 39. So they're on the outside looking in. They went from an 11-game winning streak, Greg, to a 4-game losing streak.
Mm-hmm.
So they are on the outside looking in. The Lakers have rised up to the 8th spot. Sacramento, number 9, and Golden State holding on to that number 10 seed for the play-in. And obviously Denver moved back into first yesterday. Minnesota 2, Oklahoma City 3, and then it goes Clippers, Dallas, Phoenix. So the Western Conference is going to be tough to get through, but Boston is funny because I think they've only lost, I want to say 6, maybe 7 games to the Western Conference, and 3 of them were the Nuggets. So that's hopeful.
Yeah. Similar to March Madness, matchups really matter, and the Nuggets do match up really well with Boston. Yeah, it's good to see the Eastern Conference have some parity. I'll say it'll be interesting if Embiid comes back healthy, that could be a dangerous team, and I would not want to face that team if I'm the
Well,
number 1 or number 2 seed.
he's played the last 2 games, and I think he scored 25 and 26 in his 2 games back.
Yeah. So if he's healthy, that's going to be a tough matchup, especially you imagine if Boston has to face them first round. Oof. That could be a 6-7 game series right there. Do I think Boston will win? Yeah, probably. But in the
Yeah,
Western
because
Conference,
you got to remember, healthy Embiid in the regular season is different than playoff Embiid.
no,
So, which
I agree 100%. But
and he's already
you never
crying
know.
about not being in the MVP race, even though he's only played in like 40 games.
It's ridiculous. No, but the Western Conference, I think, yeah, it's going to be a hard fought Western Conference playoffs, and hopefully the Nuggets can make it out of it. But I tell you, it's not going to be easy this year. Um, if you're the Nuggets, which team would you least want to play first round of the, let's say, from the 7 seed below
Well,
or 6
before
seed?
I was gonna say, yeah, if you preface it 7 seed, I don't know. I think they match up well with all those teams, with New Orleans, Lakers, Sacramento, and Golden State. I think they can beat any of those teams. But the 6th seed, I'm a little fearful of Phoenix, to be honest with you. They have not played Phoenix at all well this season. And I don't know if it was just me being at the games, Greg, because I'm a jinx this season. But they probably should have beat the Clippers the other night. And if maybe they had Jamal Murray, they would have. Who knows? Reggie Jackson needs to play sick more often. He had a better game last
Yeah.
night. Dallas, I know they're in the 5th seed, but they have some size that can give Joker some troubles, and we've seen that in the games they've played against Dallas. Of course, it came down to a very lucky shot by Kyrie Irving to win that game, but it is what it is. But if I had to pick 6 through 10, Greg, I would say Phoenix.
Yeah, I'm probably with you on that. Phoenix. I think the Lakers have actually battled us pretty tough. Even though we've beaten them, they've all been pretty close, and they have the size that can match up with us. The team I most would rather would probably want to face is Golden State. I feel we really match up well against them, and they've had a hard time against us. So the Clippers are a team too that I don't know if I want to face first round either, but I don't think we'll have to anyway. So, but on the top though, which team do you think poses the biggest threat to the Nuggets right now?
Like 2 through 5?
Yeah.
Maybe Minnesota?
Yeah, I think Minnesota or Oklahoma.
Oklahoma.
We've had a couple wins against Minnesota. We have not had any wins
but in
against Oklahoma.
In a 7-game series, I still trust the Nuggets over a young team like Oklahoma City.
Yeah, but Minnesota's young too, and
see, like you preferenced the NCAA tournament, it's not a 7-game series. If it was a 1-game elimination against the Thunder, that's what I get nervous. But I think the Nuggets will. They just totally transform into a whole different team when it comes to the playoffs and playing in a 7-game series. Obviously, Joker is going to figure you out in the first 5-10 minutes of the game and figure out how to not only score but distribute and make plays. So I think Phoenix is my number 1 answer, even 2 through 10. Minnesota's a close second. I like the young core of Oklahoma City. I just don't think they have I don't know if it's experience or wherewithal or I don't know, presence in the playoffs and maybe next year or the year after when they play more together. But I think they're just too young to go up against it might be a 7-game series, but I still trust the Nuggets to get it done in a 7-game series against a young team like that.
No, I agree. I think the Nuggets should be favored in every series. Honestly, in the playoffs, like even if they matched up against Boston in the finals, I think you have to give the Nuggets the favorite, given the conference they play in, given the record against Boston, and given that they won. They're the reigning champs.
Yeah, but of course, if they play the Lakers, the Lakers are going to be favored because everyone loves the Lakers. They're already saying Denver doesn't want to play LA in the first round.
I mean, I wouldn't want to play them in the first round. I mean, but that's
And
okay.
credit to them last year. You know what, they were sitting in the 10 seed, and they made some good moves at the trade deadline and
True.
buried them and dug themselves out and made it all the way to the Western Conference Finals. But
True,
I think the Nuggets still match up better with the Lakers than they do, say, a Phoenix. And you would think the opposite because of the size, like you mentioned, that the Lakers have. But Phoenix, for whatever reason, when Beal's hot, when Kevin Durant is shooting over everybody, somehow making jump shots, when when Devin Booker's on, he can go on a heater. So
that's the thing.
I don't know.
That's the difference between the Suns and the Lakers. The Suns have three guys that can take over a game. It's like the Clippers. They have guys who can take over the game. The Lakers have one guy, maybe two. But that second guy is, he's hit or miss with Davis. And yes, of course the Lakers would pose the biggest threat first round, because who are the other teams really? The other teams are just not that great. Golden State's washed up, old. They don't have size.
All you got to do is piss off Draymond Green, and he's going to get thrown out.
Yeah. So saying the Lakers pose the biggest, or the Lakers are the team that the Nuggets don't want to see first round, it is like saying, oh yeah, the Nuggets don't want to face a team that's actually worthy of the 8th spot. I mean, that's all it really is.
True. So, and they're getting hot at the right time. They won 4 in a row. They went from the 10-11 seed. Now they're in the 8th, still in the play-in. If the season were to end today, they would be playing New Orleans. Which Zion is going to show up. I know he sat out a couple of games, but it seems like he's in way better shape than in past seasons. So, they have a decent squad. New Orleans at the beginning of the season, and even last season, Greg, they were in the top 5 seeds, and then they've just fallen down. And last year, obviously, is due to, Zion not being who everyone is expecting him to be. But what about Sacramento? They were kind of that sleeper team that everyone was just saying, watch out for Sacramento, watch out for Sacramento. They've fallen out of the top 6. And
they have some injuries, though.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, with De'Aaron Fox not playing a lot of games, Sabonis is also a triple-double machine, but, it's just remarkable how one injury can derail you from a top 5 seed all the way to the play-in tournament.
Oh yeah. And they're a team kind of that had a lot of young players, inexperienced players. And, when you lose one of your best players because of some injury battles and they're not 100%, that could affect the season. So,
yeah, so it'll be a fun last couple of games here in the NBA. So playoffs will be starting here in a couple weeks. I think the play-in tournament starts on the 16th, so 9 days away from NBA playoff action. So that'll be fun. Obviously, in about 45 minutes from right now, the Women's National Championship is getting going. South Carolina and Iowa. And how many brackets, by the way, did you do this season or this tournament?
For the women's or men's?
Total.
I didn't do any for the women's. I did do, I think, like 3 or 4 for the men's. So it wasn't a whole lot. I still have a chance to win some money on 2 of them. I have, if Purdue wins, I'll win a little bit more. If UConn wins, I'll win, but a little bit less. So, well,
there you go. Hey, anything is better than nothing.
That's right.
So I did 7 brackets, 5 men's, 2 women's. I at my national championship in the women's on both brackets are good. I have South Carolina winning 1 and I have Iowa winning 1. So either way, I'm okay there. And I think 3 of my 5 men's brackets, I know no one cares about our brackets, but I know 3 of the 5, obviously you saw the Arizona, so I'm out of that one pretty much. 3 out of the 5, I had the Final 4 correct. and I think I had UConn winning 3 of the brackets and Purdue winning 1. So I'm still okay in those ones as well.
You know what's sad? I have a coworker. She knows nothing about basketball, and in our staff, what's that?
Did she pick all the
Well, get this.
mascots?
In our staff bracket, this is the one that I had. I also had Arizona. I had Illinois and someone else. I forget who else, but she went off mascots, school colors, and location, and she destroyed me. And at one point, I was really like nervous because she has UConn, she had Clemson, and they made a run, and then she had I think she had Purdue, and then one other team. But I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, I did a mascot bracket a few years back, and it did not turn out so well.
Hey, the Cyclones would always win because no one's going to beat a tornado.
Yeah, what's a Crimson Tide? Is that a wave too?
There's a wave, and then they're like animal mascots and elephants. So I don't know what the heck's going on.
Yeah, because you probably never pick Ohio State because it's a leaf.
No, it's a peanut. It's a nut.
It was a leaf.
It's a nut.
Either way, you are not picking a nut to beat a tiger
or a Christmas tree. Stanford, you know.
Well, it's a redwood. They're pretty big. If it falls on you, you're pretty much screwed. But yeah, if you're a tree, if you're a nut, if you're a
what happens when the Wildcats play the Wildcats? Because there's like 10 different Wildcats.
Or a bulldog against a bulldog.
Bulldog too. Yeah.
And a wolf pack versus a tiger, because it's
from
a wolf pack.
It's all about the name, you know, like
wolf
Hanson,
so
Hanson
more than
Dan
one
from Yale.
Yeah. And are you going to pick, what is it today? It's tomorrow, a group of Huskies. Now it's plural. It's not one dog. It's multiple dogs going up against a person that makes beer. Is that what we're doing?
No, the Boilermaker is a train, dude. That's going to run those Huskies over.
It's beers.
No, Boilermaker is a train.
Then they need to change the name to the trains. Because Boilermakers, you think someone who's making beer, I feel like.
No, that's a Brewers.
Same thing.
Boilermaker is a
Isn't
train.
Purdue in Wisconsin? So it's
in Indiana.
Same thing. Okay, what's a Hoosier?
Who's your daddy? No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Yeah, see? You gonna pick Indiana? We don't even know.
I do know that a Boilermaker is a train.
I know.
Like, if you look at their mascot,
I always think of. I know their logo is a train, but I always think of Boilermaker as a someone who makes beer. Because remember in Dumb and Dumber, give me 2 Boilermakers. What is he asking for? 2 trains or 2 beers?
That's
right?
Dumb and Dumber. There's a reason why it's Dumb and Dumber. Classic,
yeah, but it wasn't one of them who said it. So
yeah, it was in the film.
Those good old mascots, the mascot brackets. But again, a husky, I don't know, like a wolf pack. You're obviously talking multiple wolves because it's a pack.
Yeah,
you know. So I don't know. You got it. It's all like you said. It's
if they take down the driver of the Boilermaker, it's game over.
There you go. And I'm sure the driver of the train makes beers. Because maybe he's making beers in the train. We don't know. Maybe the train is transporting beers somewhere else. We don't know what's on that train.
Silver Bullet coming to Colorado.
Maybe they're giving the Huskies beer, so the Huskies get all tired, and then they beat them. And
since we're talking about mascots, this lazy bum has just been laying here the whole time.
There you go. See, she would beat anybody.
She would pick the animal mascot.
Yeah, she's probably going for the Huskies.
Yep.
There you go.
And Gamecock or the Hawkeye?
I was just about to say a Hawkeye or a Rooster.
Probably Hawkeye.
Yeah. I mean, they could just pick them up and they're.
But then those chickens can be vicious sometimes.
Is it a rooster or is it a chicken?
It's a Gamecock, so it's yeah, I don't know.
It looks like a rooster.
I think it's a rooster.
I think it is a rooster. So I'd pick a hawk, I guess. Hawkeye.
Where would you rather live? South Carolina? Even though South Carolina, that area I heard is not very safe. But in Typically, I'd probably rather live in some areas in South Carolina than I would in Iowa. That's for darn sure. You know what
I've
they say
never
about
been to
Iowa?
either, so I have no idea.
You know what they say about Iowa? My idiots out walking around.
There you go.
I don't know.
Well, it makes sense, I guess. But I've never been to either, so I can't really say.
I haven't been to South Carolina. I have been to Iowa. There's not a whole lot.
What about Connecticut or Indiana?
Oh, Yukon. Yukon's.
Never been to either of those either, so I don't know.
I've been in some parts of Indiana, but I've heard Yukon. I've heard parts of Connecticut is very beautiful, especially during like the early fall, and yeah.
There you go.
Hey, it's the headquarters of ESPN, Bristol.
Yeah, I don't like them either. So
I don't either, but
yeah. Anyway, that's gonna do. You have any final thoughts?
What's your prediction today for the Final Four?
I hope
or the championship.
I'm going for Iowa. I know a lot of people are going against them now.
What's the
yeah?
spread?
Somebody posted. You know, again, going back to that call, and I don't want to harp on that call, but they were like, I hope Iowa loses by 30. You're just like, it's not the players' fault. So I hope Iowa wins by 30.
The spread is 7.5. South Carolina. I'll take Iowa plus 7.5.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I wish you could do player props in college, but unfortunately, you are not allowed to.
Yeah. Well, enjoy the game. Go Hawkeyes. And what about tomorrow? What's your prediction?
Probably UConn. Unless
you had to pick spreads.
What's the spread on that one?
6.5. UConn.
Yeah, I don't know if Purdue can pull that off.
I'm still going 6.5 UConn. The way they perform in the second half, it's a whole different level.
Yeah. And what is up with maybe you know the answer to this, and I haven't looked it up. Why is women's 2 20-minute halves or 4 quarters, and men's are 2 20-minute halves?
That's a great question. My guess is maybe speed up the game in a way. I don't know. It's kind of like the shot clock is 5 seconds less on the women's side because they want to speed it up. I don't know if that has anything to do about it, but
because I heard it only started a couple years ago.
Yeah, it did, but I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe they wanted to just have a little bit of a difference and just to see how it is. I mean, I don't mind it, but yeah, I don't know.
All right, well, there you go. Once again, this has been the Wheelhouse and Elevation 5280 Sports and Lifestyle. Go like our Facebook page or our Instagram. You can follow us at Elevation 5280 Radio. I am at Sports Junkie 25. You can give Greg a follow as well at Greggles8733. Give us a follow on X as well, 5280 Sports Radio. I'm at Michael Spillin. Greg, I don't know if you check X anymore, but he's at Greg Johns 2010. And also subscribe to our YouTube channel and our Spotify channel as well. This and all of our podcasts are also brought to you by Pikes Peak Sports Cards. If you're in Colorado, go check them out down in Colorado Springs. They also do a lot of shows up in Denver as well. So go check them out with new cards coming in almost every day, new packs and bundles. So go check them out. Greg, want to thank you for filling in this morning.
Thanks for having me, Mike, and hope you enjoy this beautiful day in the Mile High. And go Hawks, go Huskies, I guess.
All right. For Greg Johnson, I'm Michael Spoon. We will talk to you next week.